and welcome to the Retcon Roundtable, Episode 0. I'm Nathan,
And I'm Jeff.
and today we're going to bore you to death with our completely pointless yet utterly important opinions, because we matter and you don't.
Exactly. Well, I wouldn't say they're pointless. We all know I'm right.
Until I bring up the actual point.
Oh, well. This is actually pretty new for us, so it should be stated we have no clue what we're doing.
And no one really does, but we're going to wing it first couple eps, see what comes out of it.
Now, one thing we were going to talk about today, obviously, was there is a big amount of superhero movies coming out, especially after kind of a dry summer last summer.
Yeah, there wasn't... Last summer had Dark of the Moon, and I think that was the only real big one. Well, no,
Green Lantern?
Green Lantern. That's right, I have memories going in my old age. Green Lantern, Thor, Captain America, and First Class was last summer too. So not quite a dry summer last
Actually,
summer.
no. I think I'm remembering summer as this bad summer, and I really enjoyed both Thor and X-Men First Class.
First Class and Thor were easily the two best movies. Although, for a contrary opinion, there's actually a guy I work with who's my movie guy I talk with a little bit.
Movie guy.
He said that Thor actually was a movie he did not like.
Somebody with a different opinion. I don't know. There was so much I liked about Thor, and for me it was because it really wasn't. It had some of the very typical Marvel superhero things, but since you had Kenneth Branagh and that very Norse mythology playing into it, we had some really cool, epicness, almost, like Hercules and stuff like that stuff going on as well.
Yeah, it had a real big feel to it, and the mythology was a nice aspect, even though as inaccurate as it was. I mean, but it felt like a big friggin' movie.
You mean Thor really wasn't a blonde man who said, "Bring me another servant woman"?
Well, he did throw a coffee cup down every once in a while.
That's what I've always thought about when I thought Norse mythology.
Men who break coffee cups epically.
And then there was First Class, which we were all worried about the X-Men. Let's face it, we had X-Men 3 and Wolverine.
Wolverine Origins. I never saw Origins, but I saw X-Men 3. And while everybody's down on it, I think for what Brett Ratner was handed, the fact that he got a mediocre movie out of it, he deserves
that's true.
Some form of award for.
It could have been so much worse. It really, really could have. But still saying, there wasn't much hope. It wasn't Marvel owned, so more people thought it was going to suck. And you didn't even really have A-list X-Men in it.
I think everybody was flashing back to Rise of the Silver Surfer, which was one that was Rise of the Silver Surfer and Spider-Man 3, which both went over like lead balloons.
Now, I remember Spider-Man 3, and it was back in 2005. I was in Chicago. I had my jury the next day. School final the next day. We all weren't planning to get some sleep, so we decided at midnight we're going to go see the midnight showing of Spider-Man 3.
Yeah. No, I don't think I saw it when it came out, but my main problem with the movie was it felt too big, which I think most people attribute that to Sony rather than Sam, but...
And not enough Bruce Campbell.
Yeah. Well, he was Spider-Man's greatest ally in this last movie.
Oh, that is very true. As opposed to being Spider-Man's worst enemy in the second one.
Or in the first one, he was the creator of Spider-Man.
Oh, the secret history of Bruce Campbell. He's really the most powerful man in the Spider-Man universe.
It's the chin. Which means his only foe would be Jay Leno.
Ooh, chin duel.
Except I think Jay's got bigger hair, so...
So, on to this summer, now that we've oh my god, I'm still reminiscing over Thor and X-Men.
Yeah.
Can we shut off the microphone and go watch that?
Yeah.
Really? I mean, I've had a long day at work. I wouldn't mind seeing X-Men right now.
Yeah, it was good. But this summer, I think so far, Avengers everybody can agree on the fact Avengers has broke the register.
Yeah, whether you think the Avengers is great or not, and I know we differentiate a little on whether it's great. We don't differentiate whether we think it's good, but I know we different, at least it kicked Harry Potter's ass.
Yeah, it's what was Harry Potter's opening?
Like 160 million, 170 million.
Yeah, it's
like
207.
Yeah, it
Your move, Batman.
Oh well, we'll get to Batman soon enough, and I promise you, I will only say I'm Batman 5 times in this podcast. If I go over, I'm pretty sure Nate will kill me.
I will remind him of his oath. But Avengers was good in that it was something that really hadn't been tried, and that it was an ensemble movie. And it did the ensemble reasonably well. We still had to have the team leader. They still focused on Iron Man.
Well, sorry to interrupt your thought there.
No, it's okay.
Well, on the ensemble movie, we've had those before. We had the X-Men. But I definitely think the thing here is that they were all main characters.
Yeah.
In the X-Men, there's definitely people who are Wolverine and people who are
not
Wolverine.
Which, as a side note, if anyone's ever played a superhero RPG, the problem is everybody creates a Wolverine, and nobody works together, and they go off do their loner thing, and, well, that's the end of the game. But I think Avengers and X-Men are similar. The one where Avengers is bigger is that each hero in Avengers pretty much had their own established movie and to draw upon, whereas X-Men were being introduced to all these characters for the first time.
But in a sense, they were all one character anyway, almost like other than Wolverine, you say the X-Men. Rarely do you find yourself saying Cyclops or...
Remember our fan base, Jeff. There are people who differentiate greatly.
Nah. Though with me and the Avengers, I stated to you after I saw it. Now, I should disclaimer here and say I greatly enjoyed the film, and I think the reasons I criticize it are the same reasons Nate loves it, and that is it was definitely a fanboy film. Like Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, he had all the one-liners. Captain America was all 40s man. That's an official term now, 40s man.
That's right.
Thor was
very stand back. I will smack him with my hammer. I will stab at thee from hell's heart. The whole Shakespearean style.
I do find it funny though that him being the power of a god, the first thing he does when he sees Captain America is try to smack him with the hammer straight down. I'm just like, shouldn't he know that would kill most people? And I'm nitpicking. I'm sorry.
No, that's what we do here. But yes, it was a fanboy movie, but at the same time, Joss Whedon has admitted to being a fanboy. It's what was wanted by the fans. The fans got what we wanted. We've responded. The opening weekend was fantastic, but what's going to be interesting is to see what its staying power is, to see how well it does 3-4 weekends down the line when most...
Well, it's its third weekend in. It's still number one.
Really?
Yes, it is.
Has it been 3 weeks?
Oh yeah, it is. It's consistently beat, not just like by a small margin either. It's like still beating things. Well, I don't even know what came out last weekend because they're still talking. Oh well, we all knew it was going to be Battleship.
Yeah. Well, Battleship we'll probably get to later if we can remember it and have time. But I'm surprised. But I'd like to see what its staying power is, how well it does, and interestingly enough, I'd like to see internationally too. See what the overseas market is.
It's killing internationally as well.
Really?
Oh, good gosh, yeah. It's almost doing what The Dark Knight was doing in 2008, and that is it's just winning across the board. I know we're getting closer now to the other movies, and so it's going to die down a little bit, but
Well,
it's going to get close to that Dark Knight mark for sure. I don't know if it's going to beat it, but
see, I think you'll be able to have both Avengers and Dark Knight Rises doing pretty well, because I think is Dark Knight the only other superhero movie coming out this year?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. That's right. Spider-Man's coming out, but Spider-Man's taking a grittier tone. I noticed it's taking the Batman Begins tone, and I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to decouple the superhero from the superhero genre.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think when Batman Begins came out, you and I talked about this, but that essentially we both walked out of Batman Begins thinking this was not a superhero movie. This was a kind of drama action flick, but there was nothing superhero-y about it.
And what I even liked more about The Dark Knight, and well, whatever opinions that we're not going to get into tonight about The Dark Knight, was The Dark Knight almost played like a mafia movie.
It did.
Where Batman's fighting the mafia. And that very much reminded me, I don't know if you've ever seen them, but they had these very old black and white serials of Batman and Robin, and he wasn't fighting the Joker or Penguin or anything like that. He was fighting against the mob, and it reminded me of these very old serials from that time period. And
I'm going to do a magic trick. What? It's gone! Where did the pencil go?
that's not a magic trick. He just hit it in that guy's eye socket.
But I think Spider-Man, they're trying to decouple it from the superhero genre. I'd like to say because they knew Avengers was coming out, and they were iffy on competing with it. I mean, because honestly, Avengers is the movie that, as Jeff has pointed out to me, ever since Iron Man 1, every Marvel movie has essentially been Avengers movie, Avengers movie, Avengers movie, Avengers movie.
Yes, they've all been 2-hour trailers, to the extent that I think that these solo movies have suffered from it, a.k.a. Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2 and Captain America suffered.
Oh, Captain America suffered much more than all
Iron
of them,
Man
I
2,
think.
yeah.
Now, the thing is, I'm not sure how much Spider-Man you've read.
Me? I know the basics of the character. You've filled me in on a lot of it.
Yeah, I am definitely the Spider-Man fanboy. Now, I can't say I've eaten everything Spider-Man up, but I have read a lot of the Amazing Spider-Man comics. I read most of the Ultimate comics up until they killed Peter Parker. I have read...
We won't talk about that.
Oh, we won't talk about the many things they've done to Peter Parker. That poor dude. We can't even leave him alone, and he's a fictional character. I watched the movies. There was the 90s animated series, and that great Spectacular one.
That was the recent one?
Yeah.
MTV
well, No. There's... that was the one that came out in the movies that had... what's his name voicing?
Neil Patrick Harris.
Voicing. Yeah, I wish they kept making that one. Too bad it only lasted a season. But Spectacular Spider-Man, which was also... Actually, that was just better than the 90s animated series. I don't feel that they're necessarily going to separate Spider-Man from the superhero. I actually feel that they're going to be truer to the spirit from the comic books. That's one of the most recent trailers show that they have definitely kept witty Spider-Man, which was missing from the movies greatly. I mean,
but we got emo Parker with his strut.
I'm going to be honest. I thought that was the most hilarious thing I saw. I found it very entertaining. Nate just pointed out to me that there was
3 seconds of silence.
I guess there are things that I will kill over.
Yeah, but I don't mean like they're not staying faithful to the comics origin, because one can argue Batman Begins was very comics origin faithful.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, you walked out of it thinking this was not a superhero movie. This was a drama movie with action elements. It felt more down to earth than.
No, go ahead.
It felt more down to earth than some of the other movies that had came out. Because, for example, Iron Man, you've got this billionaire flying around in a suit of armor. While yes, they did a good job making it feel like it could happen. At the same time, everybody walked into that suspending disbelief, knew there was going to be stuff blowing up, a giant fight scene with robots. Whereas with Batman Begins, there were action sequences, but it wasn't anything a highly trained spec ops guy couldn't pull off. We were told, and honestly, The Dark Knight Rises, or not, I did it again. The Dark Knight felt more like one man's war on crime. Mm-hmm. I mean, they even took Two-Face's origin in a little more realistic and gritty manner, and the whole time there were some over-the-top elements like the semi-flip and the whole wall 180 on the Batpod, but it was still felt a very realistic movie. Mm-hmm. There was nothing over-the-top, superhero-y, comic-y about it, I thought. Mm-hmm. But from what I've seen from The Dark Knight Rises, it looks like they may be getting away from that with the plane and Catwoman.
Well, I think the thing is that we got to remember trailers are deceptive.
Yeah.
And I think maybe they've been cutting this trailer so they can, we got to make it look like the big action movie. The thing is with Batman is the work is already done for them after The Dark Knight. They just got to tell us when to show up, and we'll be there to buy tickets. Back on the trailers, I told you I recently saw the movie The Grey, and I was not surprised because I've been told beforehand. But, the trailer for that made it look like it was a Liam Neeson action vehicle, a lot like Taken, where instead of punching out kidnappers, he's punching out Jacob from Twilight.
See Liam Neeson as you've never seen him before, as he punches stuff.
What I do love about it is when a friend of mine said to me, is like, yep, Liam Neeson kicked Jacob's ass, and I couldn't stop laughing because there's this final scene where, you see the trailer where he's running towards the wolf's running towards him, and I'm just like, you're right. Liam Neeson is the most badass man around. He beat Jacob. He did what we all wanted.
Yeah, and that saved that movie. See Liam Neeson use a lightsaber to punch stuff.
I gotta get. I have control now.
Alrighty.
Though I think with the Batman, The Dark Knight Rises, it's gonna be a lot like The Dark Knight. Christopher Nolan, whether you like him or hate him, is pretty consistent in how he tells stories, and it's kind of like with how Transformers was made for Michael Bay. Well, Batman was made for Christopher Nolan.
Until he walks away from it saying, I don't want the fanboys anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Part of me is maybe not as excited to see The Dark Knight Rises. I am definitely much more excited to see The Amazing Spider-Man. And as you know, I've made a bet, and I will make this bet with anyone, that The Amazing Spider-Man will be the best superhero movie that comes out this summer. I don't know if it will make the money. I don't think it will make the same amount of money that The Avengers has made, or the definite bucket loads of money The Dark Knight Rises is bound to make. But I bet you it will still be the better movie.
Yeah, I'm hesitant about it, but again, I know enough about Spider-Man's backstory where I can see they're being more faithful. But again, we're getting another reboot when we really didn't need it. It's Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire and Sam Raimi and Kirsten Dunst was still salvageable. It had a bad movie, but what trilogy hasn't had a horrible close? Star Wars, The Matrix. Hell, I'm still waiting for the third Matrix movie.
Now, wait, when we say Star Wars, I'll argue that one any day, that both Return of the Jedi and Revenge of the Sith were...
No, they were good movies. But the point I'm trying to make is every trilogy, essentially except for Back to the Future, has had a bump in the road somewhere. It's always hit a low point. I mean, look, James Bond's made how many movies, and I mean, he's had his good, he's had his bad.
Yeah, he's had like 5 great ones, 10 like 5 good ones,
And
7 mediocre ones, and probably 3 bad ones. Now I'm just making up numbers, but yeah, he's been all over the map.
I don't like that everything needs a reboot, everything needs a new continuity. It disturbs me. Like, I can't believe it's not Star Wars or Star Trek 11, as people may refer to it as. Is Star Trek... Well, this is one of those, it goes both ways. Star Trek kind of needed a reboot because even the writers couldn't keep track of the tangled, jumbled up mess that canon has become, because there was so much over 40
let's face
years.
it, retconning has come to the movie industry.
Yeah. And so, useless trivia point, by the way. They are calling it Star Trek 2.
Oh yeah, because they are going to have Khan, aren't they?
Yep. So it's not Star Trek 12 anymore, even though this is the 12th movie. This is Star Trek 2. The Wrath of Khan.
So is it a prequel to the Wrath of Khan? Oh, is it? Are they basically making a big budget version of that episode of the original series that had Khan in it?
I think they're doing a mashup of the series, the episode of the series, and the movie.
Oh, let's face it. We side point, because I know we can't get off on Star Trek tonight. We can have like 5 whole episodes devoted to Star Trek.
Star Trek Online.
I knew you were he's gonna mention Star Trek in everything we do. Some people have things. There's 5 degrees to Kevin Bacon. Well, he has 5 degrees to Star Trek.
The amusing thing is, I'm the world's biggest casual Star Trek fan. I've seen a couple episodes of the series, but I've got friends who know and can point out contradictions. I'm like, okay, that doesn't agree. I didn't know that.
But Star Trek 2, is so dear to everyone. I mean, it was like the first great Star Trek movie. The performances in it are, it holds up pretty well today among multiple viewings. I mean, I watched it just last year, and I enjoyed it just as much as I did the first time. The acting was good. I mean, the guy, Ricardo
Montalban.
Yeah. Dude, he makes an awesome villain. He was
does.
And it was fun watching him play off Shatner, and then, there's the
amusing thing behind that is they were never in the same room together. They were never on stage together. But through the magic of editing and movie editing, it made us look like they were talking to each other. But the thing is, and Shatner has said Ricardo would make it a point to come by and hang out with Shatner for lunch while they were shooting, but they were on 2 different schedules. And Ricardo Montalban has said that the hardest challenge for him as an actor was he had to pretend that the short female intern reading Kirk's lines was his nemesis, his biggest nemesis. And I think Star Trek 2 is good because it's someone on par with Kirk. Throughout the original series, we were shown Kirk is too awesome for everyone. My favorite episode is the Corbomite maneuver. It's on Netflix. Go watch it. You can pause this while you watch it.
I promise I'll get him off Star Trek after this point.
But it was someone on par with Captain Kirk. His nemesis, his villain.
Uh-huh. And that was cool. And we actually had a space battle.
Yes. Something that's desperately needed in Star Trek.
Though, I think back to on Spider-Man.
Yes.
I guess I just don't see the dark grittiness. I guess my feeling is that I don't trust trailers anymore. I trust trailers that they'll get me excited, but I don't trust trailers to tell me anything that I need to know about the movie. But what I get the feeling of from this trailer is that they're definitely sticking more towards the roots, because most people, I think, who've seen Spider-Man grew up on the 90s series, and the only character they really ever knew for Spider-Man to be with was Mary Jane. Well,
And
Now-
Bruce.
And Bruce. Well, Bruce is one of our favorite characters, and we keep hoping he'll pop up in a movie.
At least just once I would have sitting talking to a gargle. You're the only one that listens to me, Bruce. I'm glad you're here. Swing off. That's all I want.
But I like that they're giving due to, they're making bigger characters in this one, like George Stacy,
Yeah.
played by Dennis Leary, and I'm all for that. I think Dennis Leary's going to play that part well. And
He's turned into a decent actor. He was a I always knew him as a comedian, but apparently from his work on Rescue Me, he's turned into a decent actor.
oh, that's another show on Netflix everyone should watch.
I've seen a couple episodes. It's entertaining.
But and another thing, we're getting the lizard.
Yeah.
How much have they hinted that the lizard's going to be there?
Yeah. And we were teased it in Spider-Man 3, Rise of Emo, with with the suit and with Doc Connors. I mean,
Well, Doc Connors had always been mentioned in every Spider-Man movie. We actually saw him in 2. And 3, he's an actual integral character to what's going on. So we all had to see him, and he's just a very logical villain for Spider-Man, I think. And
it's science gone right, science gone wrong.
you could always argue that Peter Parker's science got wrong too.
What?
Oh, that's getting off on a tangent we don't even need to get on.
Actually, thinking about it, I think one of the things with Spider-Man, and you can neither confirm or deny this, but all his villains, I mean, essentially everybody in the Spider-Man comics, villains, characters, heroes, is science gone wrong, but it's all in how you use it, the power and the responsibility.
Well, definitely the power and the responsibility. That's definitely the biggest theme to take away from Spider-Man.
If you missed it, don't worry, they'll say the lie.
Oh God, he's singing.
What? Don't tell me that didn't pop into your head.
It did. I'm trying to think. There's a few villains. I mean, and then they try to give Spider-Man and say his powers were really mystical in origin. But I think you're right. Originally speaking, many of his villains are science experiments gone haywire, or just the person who was given the powers was not raised by Uncle Ben, who we don't see much of him, but man, that man must have been a saint. Good gosh, he must have walked places, and flowers must have trailed him everywhere he went.
Smells like roses every time he comes out of the bathroom.
Also, Spider-Man has a huge guilty complex. And
I can see where it comes from, but it'd be interesting to see this, because I think it's going to be a bit darker take, and I'm not certain, because like you said, trailers are deceptive, but I'm betting that we'll walk out of this thinking that was not quite a superhero movie.
Well, we'll see soon enough. It's coming out
June?
End of this month, next month. It's coming out real soon. Oh, I think it's coming out within a month, a couple weeks, I think.
Yeah.
I will be there. I'll see it 5 times, even if I hate it.
Yeah.
And I will squeal like a Twilight fangirl.
Chasing after an abusive vampire boyfriend.
Yes.
And on that note, I think it's about time we wrapped it up. This has been episode 0 of the Retcon Roundtable.
Wait, we didn't even get to Batman!
I think we kind of peppered enough references.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, folks. I thought there would be more Batman. So I'll make up for that.
No, you won't.
I'm Batman. But, yeah. You want to say it?
This has been episode 0 of the Retcon Roundtable. We will see you around.